Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Living Life at LifeView. I am your host, Dr. Veronica Garcia, and today we are joined by the head coach of the rugby team, the professional rugby team, not the club rugby team. Stay tuned for that episode. Colton, and how do you say your last name?
It's Cariaga.
Cariaga.
Okay.
Well, welcome, Colton. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing really well. Thanks for having me on, Dr. Veronica. Appreciate it.
Veronica is good. And talk to us a little bit about your role at the university. How long have you been here? I've heard that you've been here for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, it's a good enough place not to leave. So not yet anyway. So so I've been. This is my 6th season as head coach of the men's collegiate rugby team here. Prior to that, I sort of worked my way up initially as a volunteer rugby coach, and then full-time assistant, and then full-time head coach. Actually, my first job on campus was actually starting intramurals and club sports for student services. So that was a pretty fun stepping stone to get to where I was really trying to go. And prior to that, I was a student here. I studied in the business administration program, and then I did my 5th year. I did what was, I guess, the founding years of the positive psych program, but it was initially coaching psychology. It was a certificate in coaching psychology. So yeah. In total, I've been here for coming up on 15 years.
How exciting.
Yeah. So. Spent almost my entire adult life at this place, so it's been good.
That's awesome. That means that you're an amazing resource for athletes and our students. So that is amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's one of the cool traditions about the rugby program is all of our staff traditionally have been our alums or past students or graduate assistants who are current students. So, yeah, in terms of relating to the student athletes or being able to really advocate for the program, knowing that we've been in their shoes, I think makes a difference. So,
that's awesome. I love that. And talk to us a little bit about the collegiate rugby men's team at the university. What is rugby, first and foremost?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So rugby comes actually from soccer. And I think it's just easiest to tell the history of it. But there was a soccer player in England. His name was William Webb Ellis, and one day in the middle of a soccer match, he picked the ball up and started running with it, and that was actually in the town of Rugby in the United Kingdom. And so from there, they started formulating some rules for it where you actually get to pick the ball up and run with it as opposed to just using your feet. And so that's why it's called rugby football because it was an evolution of football. And then eventually rugby actually, American football evolved from rugby. So if you know any of those games, or the object of those games is to get the ball, whatever the ball is shaped like from one end to the other, and it's no different in rugby, except the difference is you got 15 guys willing to do anything to prevent you from getting to their side. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. And thank you for a little bit of that history. As an uneducated person in rugby, I didn't think that. So I'm excited now to know a fun fact to bring it out in my next dinner table.
They will be impressed for sure if you pull that one out. Yeah.
I love that.
My pleasure.
And talk to us a little bit about, since I was a student here at Life University since 2012 and 13, I always heard, oh my gosh, the rugby team at LifeView. Oh my gosh, the rugby team at LifeView. What are some of those things that the rugby team at LifeView are right now have accomplished and are doing?
Yeah, so, another brief history, but, rugby was the first sport on campus. I think part of the vision from Sid Williams is, what's a sport that a small university could compete in on a national and international stage. And at the time, rugby wasn't, in the late 70s and early 80s, rugby wasn't a mainstream sport in the U.S. So he had seen it played before in different countries and thought that might be something that we could do at a really high level. So I think a lot of our success is rooted in the fact that we got way ahead of the curve by investing resources into our rugby program. Things like just giving a sufficient budget and allocating scholarships and those sort of things really allowed us to get ahead of the game. And I think obviously we're still seeing the fruits of that labor now. And yeah, since I've arrived, life has obviously had tremendous success well before I even arrived, but in the last decade, the men's collegiate program has won 6 national championships.
Wow.
In the 15s format and also in the 7s format, some of those championships were 7s championships. So the Life collegiate team competes at the very highest level. So although we're an NAIA institution and a small school, we compete against the best rugby programs in the country. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's extraordinary. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Those are wonderful accomplishments. Definitely cheer on. Congratulations on those. Talk to me a little bit about what the daily life of a rugby player at Life University might look like.
Yeah, so I would say half the mornings in a week, the guys will have a gym session with our certified strength and conditioning specialists. We've got 2 really good ones. Laura Delosier works with us, and Tommy Stuckey is the head of strength and conditioning for Life University Athletics. So they'll have roughly three gym sessions a week. Then, of course, they'll probably stop by the Life U Performance Nutrition Fuel Station, which is a really awesome resource on campus where they can supplement some of their calories, on their way to class, et cetera, when there's maybe not enough time to hit the dining hall or to go home and make food. So they'll be in class for most of the middle of the day, and then we train again in the afternoon. We have our team practice in the afternoon, and then somewhere mixed in there is a couple hours of study hall that we tend to put all the freshmen in, and then once they prove themselves academically, then we tend to take some of that away and give them a bit more freedom to manage their schedule. So, our weeks are always the same typically. We always play on a Saturday. So, I don't know how some of these other sports that play 3-4 times a week are able to find balance in their season. They probably don't. But for us, we just always play on Saturday. So it makes Monday through Friday a good rhythm for us. We always know what we need to do each day of the week. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And talk to me a little bit about who are some of those professional now rugby players that might have been, kind of born at Life University. I've heard a few.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about those.
So I'd say probably like some of the first ones that come to mind are two fellas of the same name. One's actual name is Harley Davidson. And then he played with another Harley Wheeler. Harley Davidson's had one of the longest Major League Rugby careers of any of the Life grads. I think he was a founding player in Denver originally, and then he relocated back to Atlanta, and he currently plays with Rugby ATL. So that's Harley Davidson. I believe he was a class of 2016. And then Harley Wheeler, who was actually National Player of the Year in 2019, he was obviously a highly sought after player. He's with New Orleans.
Okay.
And there's a handful of other guys. Connor Mooneyham is another one who was the number 1 overall draft pick in 2020. It was the first year of the MLR draft. Mitch Wilson's another one up in New England, plays for the New England Free Jacks, and he just over the past year actually made his debut for the United States on the national team. So he's doing really well for us right now too. So he was also a class of 2019. So there's several others that I could mention, but I didn't forget you guys. So keep working hard. Look forward to catching up.
I love that. That's awesome. And congratulations to all of them. It is such a huge accomplishment to, start with the dream of a collegiate athlete and make it professional. So that's awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations to you as a head coach to have the opportunity to bring a little bit of your knowledge into, building them as the professional athletes that they are.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively new thing. Pro rugby didn't exist when I was a student athlete, so we had to pay to play when we finished up. So yeah, I mean, it is really exciting. It's a great time to be a rugby player in this country for sure. So yeah, just excited to be part of their journey.
That's awesome. And as exciting as it is, I heard that the Life University rugby team got invited to the East Conference Rugby. How did that come about? And talk to us a little bit what that means.
Yeah, so I think many years ago when the Mid-South Conference was formed, that's the conference we're currently in, competition was a lot harder to come by. And so you had to be willing to travel much farther distances to play good quality programs. As things have evolved, many more programs are springing up that are competitive, including some that are closer to home. And, we play in a 4-team conference currently, and 2 of those teams aren't even in the same time zone. So, for us to be able to play teams on the East Coast, where all of the programs are on the East Coast, play in the same time zone, avoid multiple overly long road trips. I think one is better for the welfare of the student athletes, it's better for the welfare of the coaches, and we can get more high quality games closer to home. And I think just in terms of creating a better following for our program, and then as well for the other programs in the Rugby East, I think it was kind of a no-brainer, and I think everybody understands why we went the route that we did. So we'll be playing in the Rugby East Conference. Army West Point is in that. The Naval Academy is in there. Queen's University in Charlotte, Southern Virginia. Those are some of the closer games that we'll be playing. Penn State University, just to name a few. So obviously some high-profile institutions that we're going to be very excited to visit and host as well. So
that's exciting. That sounds really cool. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, what can a student that might be interested in becoming a rugby player at Life University, what are some of those steps that they need to follow to become a collegiate athlete at the rugby team? Yeah,
sure. It's a good question. I mean, I think probably the best way to immerse yourself is obviously to visit, but there's a lot of resources on the website. You can do virtual tours, video tours, and from life.edu you can navigate to almost any discipline that you need to learn more about. But in terms of visits, Eagle Madness is the undergraduate preview event that takes place twice a year, normally once in the fall, sometime in November, and then Eagle Madness in the spring is coming up in a couple of weeks, March 4th. The university, will reimburse those that are traveling from far away, as well as put the visitors up in a hotel, and they just do a really stellar job of showing all the ins and outs to the folks visiting, and then being able to meet with all the various departments, financial aid, advisement, admissions, enrollment,
athletics,
and obviously athletics as well. There's normally an athletic event associated with the weekend that everybody can go and attend. And I think one of the really cool things about it is you'll get to spend a weekend with the people that are going to be your future classmates and teammates, which I think is really cool to just go ahead and start developing those bonds and those friendships, before you even, start school.
Start school, yeah.
But apart from that, my contact info is on the liferunningeagles.com website. A lot of times coaches can be pretty hard to get a hold of. So, if you send me an email or give me a call, I will get back to you at some point in time. But the main three bits of criteria that we would want is, just a resume or a CV of your background, athletically and academically. Obviously, some video would be helpful. So a link to some match video or some highlights would be great. And then a reference, coach, teacher, admin from the highest level that you've played at. Those would sort of be the three elements that we'd be looking for up front, and would give us a pretty good idea of who you are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for spending some of your minutes of your day with us today. Thank you for taking a little bit of time from training and, kind of guiding all of your athletes through this beautiful road of Life University. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a beautiful one. Thank you guys for joining us. This was another episode of Living Life, a Life View. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.